Yeah, this is we have many Hugelkulturs. Some are small, some are medium, and this one's our tallest. You can see it's.
Hi everyone, this is Bhavani from nurture5. I hope you have enjoyed podcast with Skeeter part 1. We have seen and learned about growing wide varieties of medicinal plants and herbs in a small space. In this episode, we are going to see and learn what is Hugelkultur, types and benefits out of it. Some of you might be wondering, what is this term Hugelkultur? It's new for me. It's just a way of building mound with rotten logs and plant debris, just reusing the farm waste. You might be wondering where we are walking. It's like a forest. We are walking at the backyard of Skeeter's home. Look at it reusing the stumps and the waste around the garden. Just feel the height of it.
Square there, all the way up there and all the way to here.
Do you want to put these stuff in there or just in front?
Just in front.
Okay. Just the edge of our square?
It's probably going to be more like
It'd be good to have a boundary and then everything.
Right, that's what I'm kind of doing with the cardboard. We got some stuff in there that's now good for 10, 15 years.
Count the big piece here, or just too big?
I'm not worrying about voids here. So let's start putting up, first of all that weeds in there. You get all that mowing. Yeah, they have some nice big mowing hanging up over here that was rotting, so that's great green stuff. Too many voids is bad, especially if you don't water. But this feels good. Let's put the next layer of all this small. And now we're doing a layer of small twigs. Okay. And then we're going to put more manure and compost and soil on it. Oh, what's all this debris laying around that's organic that we'll just put it in there and it'll decompose. Long-term carbon sequestration. It'll be a bed for a long time and it'll get better in the years ahead. This is just year 1, it can be really good, but year 2 and 3, it sort of matures and gets even, settles a bit and gets, a little richer as things decompose. So this is full of nutrients. This is one of the richest Hugelkulturs I've made. Usually we don't have that much culture. You'd be in a trench where the winds are up here, but the Hugelkultur's down there.
And then it makes sense because water will catch in there and kind of get a longer lens. Talk about this is basically imagine a contour ditch or a swale, and you put this in there. So you start to stack up the best of the both worlds. So in that sense, like say if you have an area where you can't yield a big mound, but you can always dig a shallow space out and sink this down halfway. And it'll actually work better the more the wood goes into the surface because it can't dry out above the surface anymore. But yeah, Hugel mounds are great for many, many ways.
Thanks again, Skeeter, for allowing me to record at your backyard. I haven't seen such a huge Hugelkultur.
Yeah, this is we have many Hugelkulturs. Some are small, some are medium, and this one's our tallest. You can see it's 12 feet tall up there, This is the ground level. Everything here was flat like this. And we put all the tree trunks and woody stuff. And see, here's big trees in there and more trees, lots of branches. So this is all one big pile of woody debris, stumps, big pieces of wood. And then we covered it with sand. And then we planted it. And it took 2 years before we planted it, though. So this was planted late. But the trees have gotten big. And there's some shrubs up there that are big. These are suki. These big leaves here are fuki or suki from Japan.
Look at the size of the
that's a
leaves.
nice. Yeah, they eat the stem. And this is bugle weed. That's a medicinal plant. Okay. Here's cleavers is medicinal. Here's bone set. That's medicinal. There's some ferns. But anyway, so this is partially planted and partially wild. Oh, back here, this is what we're adding now. See, this is weeds and grasses and waste, organic waste material is all going in here. So this will get built up, and eventually this will have a soil put on top, and then we'll grow there. It's pretty shady. Maybe we'll prune up the trees a little bit here.
It's pretty impressive how you can grow with a small space. You don't need a huge space to grow anything.
Yeah, we go
whatever
up.
You have.
You have more up instead of less.
The vertical, so you are saving the space.
Yeah, you can get more things when it's topography like that than when it's flat.
Oh, okay.
You get more plants on there. To give you an idea of how things progress. So if you look around here, when we started, we're just a few little teeny plants in the ground, a few little sticks, but now it is just lush. This particular berm planting has been fantastic all 3 years. Great yield. Everything grew really well. It's just been a wonderful example. And the currants are really now into production. There's more and more of the berries are getting into production. There's hardly any ground to be seen. It's all covered. And so we'll look at some things as we go along. But notice, it's really easy to notice the big hops trellis in the back. The first year I put a few hops vines in a few holes in the back of the berm. It was just sticks and stumps and no soil to speak of. But there was a few pockets I could shove a hops cutting in, a little plant. And the first year they just crept around. The second year they covered the bamboo trellis you see. And the third year, Ashley made this giant trellis with these tall poles and gave that for the hops to grow on. And we're going to get hundreds of pounds of hops from this system. So that's a good way of making use of the back of the Hugelkultur. The shrub component is definitely getting bigger, but let's look at the ground story component here just a little bit. This is a ground story pretty much solid of strawberries over the whole place. We planted strawberries along the trails the first year, and the second and third years, they've pretty much completely filled in everywhere they can grow. And it makes picking a little difficult, but there's huge production of strawberries. It filled most of a chest freezer this year. Just the strawberries from this. So we have a really productive ground. Oregon grape here, you might say, or Mahonia. Here's a pineapple guava. So we have some really rare and tender plants up here. Here's some red currants. We haven't got around to picking all the red currants yet. Oops. There's oregano in the next understory down, and garlic chives in front of that. So again, a very multiple story system here. This is basically, you might say, a food forest, medicinal food forest. Some cocrosmia for color, lots of comfrey. We harvest and sell the comfrey leaf. In fact, that would be a job we could do today. And the hops are coming along nicely. They're going to be big. Berm grows much bigger than it would out on the open ground because the berm provides such a superior growing condition. A warm root zone holds the moisture, good drainage, and so and there's all that fertilizer from the decaying biomass down there. This berm has subsided some, but as you can see, it's still really tall. It's maybe sunk a foot or so over the last 2 years. Yeah, so you can do this in your backyard too. It's kind of a bigger scale than some people can handle, but whatever scale you have, make a Hugelkultur and pile up biomass, throw dirt over it, and you got a great growing bed. And there's hardly any weeds in this the first year.
Thanks for watching. In this episode, we have learned how to build different varieties of Hugelkultur. Stay tuned for part 3, podcast with Michael Pilarski, known by Skeeter. Thanks for watching. If you would like to receive more videos, please subscribe to Nurture5 channel and share it with your friends.